Hey there, and welcome to the Windsor Star News Cafe. I'm Kristy.
And I'm Donald McArthur.
Okay, well, it looks like Michigan will be getting the Man of Steel sequel.
Exactly. Batman, Superman, Ben Affleck, Henry Cavill, they're getting $35 million in incentives to film in Detroit. Obviously big for Motown and could be big for Windsor too.
Yeah, for sure. The Free Press actually hinted at this last week that the Cape Crusaders may be coming to the Motor City. Sandra Pupatello, our very own CEO of the Windsor Economic Development Corporation, last week she sent out a few tweets trying to lure them to Detroit, even to Windsor, saying that there are incentives if you for big film productions outside of the Greater Toronto area.
Yeah, she was tweeting at Ben Affleck, and she was tweeting Warner Brothers Entertainment. We're going to roll some show you some of her tweets on the screen here, but she was tweeting them saying they could get a 45% discount, a rebate tax credit if they come. She was telling Ben to take the Batmobile to the Detroit Windsor Tunnel. And she created a lot of buzz, a lot of retweets. I mean, great for her.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Get some filming here.
Yeah, and this movie's already had a ton of buzz. There's a lot of blowback from casting Ben Affleck as the role of Batman.
Well, people say that Matt Damon should be Robin, but he spoke to the Times of India. I read this story yesterday. He's not going to play Robin.
Luckily, I don't think that would be a good fit. But there are some other cool names being floated out there. Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad. People are considering him for Lex Luthor. So that'd be really cool. That has not been confirmed. Yeah, he does. So we'll see where that goes. And even Eminem potentially for the Riddler. Now, that's the Free Press had that earlier today. That hasn't been confirmed at all, but just people are getting excited with this, and we'll see where it goes. It'll be good. Of course, Terminator was just there filming in downtown Detroit. Transformers, I'm sorry, yeah.
Dax Melmer, he got some great photos of Mark Wahlberg.
That's right.
Sort of in the ruins. It was a stand-in for Hong Kong.
That's right.
Detroit, and boy, it would make a great stand-in, obviously, for Gotham City. One of Pupatello's tweets, that's what she actually said. She's like, just like Batman, Detroit, she keeps on rising.
Yeah, for sure. And with a lot of these movies too, they film all over the world. But what they're saying is that Michigan will have a prominent place. So they will be using Michigan for a lot of these scenes in this upcoming movie. So filming is expected to begin the first 3 months, I think it said, of 2014. So will be exciting. Definitely another thing to go over and check out.
Yeah, no, Governor Rick Snyder, one tough nerd, he says, of course, Detroit will make the perfect backdrop for our movie. And in terms of Windsor's bona fides when it comes to Hollywood stars, we were actually served as a backdrop. Ted Shaw did a story today for Presumed Innocent, the Harrison Ford movie in 1990. Yeah, so Windsor was there because they were sort of sailing into like New York, and so from Windsor they got on the boat and and went sort of over with the skyline.
Nice. That's
a backdrop, and we had some famous celebs here, of course, right? Al Pacino, he was here recently.
Wow. Yeah.
Caesar's Windsor. All the time, folks, they go to Erie Street, and of course there was that rumor that even Ben Affleck was here during when we had the Super Bowl. He was seen at his
that's very true.
That was, of course, never confirmed.
So lots of exciting stuff. Stay tuned, and we'll see where this goes.
And our poll question of the day, we put it together last night. Who's your favorite Batman? Because there's been so many of them. Yeah. And winning right now is Christian Bale at 52%, followed by Michael Keaton, and then Adam West.
That was your personal favorite,
that's what I voted for from the old Batmans.
Yeah, well, definitely. So another person vying for $35 million is former Grace developer Lou Voza. He's just filed a lawsuit against the provincial government and MPP Dwight Duncan for $35 million plus an additional $10 million in punitive damages.
Well, exactly. We can't get into all of it here. Pupatello had the scoop yesterday. We beat every other media outlet in town. Good for us. And they quickly were, reading his words and claiming them as their own. But it was our exclusive. Votes, Grace site, a bit of a fiasco. They claimed in the lawsuit, that the province pulled the leg out, essentially the legs out from under him. That they gave St. Clair and Schlegel, because we're building, of course, now these long-term care beds at St. Clair College. Schlegel got the contract, that they sort of showed them some favoritism, compared to Vatsa. Of course, the flip side of it, there was delay after delay after delay of this project. It was an eyesore for so long, and it was really sort of dragging the Liberals down. People were angry about it. It's important to realize when you read Dave's story, though, that statements of claim, they contain allegations, not yet proven in court.
Well, that's exactly. The suit accuses the Ontario's health ministry and Duncan of being reckless, malicious, vicious, callous, reprehensible, shocking, oppressive, and high-handed.
Wow, that's everything but the kitchen sink.
That's right. So we'll see where it goes. But like you said, these are just all allegations at this point. It's a good read. Batman, or Pupatello, our very own Batman, he did a great job with this. There's a lot of, seems like, backroom deals deals that went on here, a lot of promises made, so it's worth reading, but yeah, definitely a lot to get into right now.
Exactly. He was going to build the beds, but then nothing happened, so they kiboshed the contract, gave it to Schlegel, and his lawyer, Hamilton lawyer, he says this, he was just pushed aside when he felt he did everything possible to help the city of Windsor and also help alleviate any concerns the provincial government had. I believe he feels a little betrayed. Again, these are allegations not proven in court.
No, absolutely.
Duncan, for his part, he didn't quite understand sort of why he was sued. He's no longer, of course, the cabinet minister, MPP, but he was finance minister at the time, although the Grey site, it wasn't in his riding. So interesting that Pupatello is the name because it would have been in hers.
Yeah, no, that's a very good point.
Yeah. Okay, a bizarre one from the police beat. We just want to mention Windsor Police are seeking 2 home invaders who use very curious weapons.
Yeah, they're looking for 2 suspects who used a box cutter and a tree branch to rob an individual around 1:30 a.m. Early Wednesday morning. This happened on the 1200 block of High Street. The person at home was sleeping when he heard a knock at his door. He went to answer it, assuming that he probably knew the people at the door. Didn't. So when he went to answer it, they forced their way in, locked him into the bathroom and started searching the place. They didn't wake away with a whole lot. I think they said some prescription drugs and a small amount of cash. He did sustain some small cuts to his hands and fingers, but the suspects, they're described, there's a white man between 25 and 30 years old, about 5'10", 160 pounds. He wore a bandana and scarf over his face and a baseball hat on his head. He was the one with the knife. The second man with the tree branch, he's around a little older, 28 to 32. He's about 6 foot, 180 pounds. He wore a mask that's described as flame retardant racing style. So if you have any info, I'll call Windsor Police 255-6700 extension 4830 or Crime Stoppers at 258-TIPS.
Now that's the first time I've ever heard of a tree branch being used in a home invasion. One I have heard of, and I only heard of it when I moved to Windsor, was a table leg. I have now covered at least 3 stories.
Wow, that many?
3 stories.
Wow.
Over the course of about a dozen years, 3 stories where the weapon of choice, and all in the West End, was a table leg.
Wow, there's some resourceful robbers, I guess, right? Whatever's available.
Exactly. Okay, I really like this story. Kelly Steele, she wrote on Alan Ellman. Now, I've written about Alan Ellman in the past as a white-haired watchdog. He was one of those guys that used to go over to City Hall and really try to keep the mayor and the councillors honest.
Nice.
He would always appear talking about WUC, talking about Enwyn, talking about all of these things of power to the people and democracy. But now he's not going to city council chambers. He's out there with his walking shoes on, and a great story by Kelly Steele.
Yeah, he's actually an award-winning race walker. Speed walking, it's popular. There's actually a lot of skill involved, as Kelly Steele found out. She said it was a lot harder than she ever thought it would be. That you can easily get disqualified from a race if you pick up your foot. You got to make sure you go heel to toe. And she says, like, if you walk too fast, you naturally fall into a jog. So you got to really reel it in. There's a butt wiggle involved that she particularly struggled with. But we actually have a great video shot by Dan Janice, so we'll let that kind of explain it all.
Olympic discipline. It's not macho at the moment. People like to run rather than they think walking is, for the old and dead. And but when you learn to do it properly, it is a great Olympic sport, and it's great for your health because you walk from the time you can get up on your legs, and therefore it's natural. And when you do it, it doesn't hurt your back and it doesn't hurt your knees in long term, this is. So I've learned in my latter years that it's both a great goal, it's competitive, you can do it forever. You can do it forever, and I want the old people to know that it's never too late to go walking. Do a nice brisk walk every morning, and you're really getting there. You don't have to be an Olympic athlete to do it. That's the story. I'll be doing it when I'm 100 if I'm here. If I'm not, I'll do it up there. What the hell does it matter?
Okay, we are back. They are crawling out of the woodwork now. Canadian politicians are falling all over themselves to not only admit that they smoke pot, in their past, but that they smoke lots of dope, and that some of them have even smoked it while they're in office.
Yeah, it's been pretty interesting. This is the issue of marijuana has been one that's been around for a while, but it's really kind of become the focus of attention lately. All starting really around Justin Trudeau. He admitted that I think it was last 3 years he had smoked pot at a dinner party. He took a few puffs, and then Toronto Mayor Rob Ford just admitted a couple days ago.
It was yesterday.
Yesterday.
He was asking a scrum, like, you know, they'd asked him if he smoked crack, of course, because of this video, and he, no comment, no comment, no comment. And they asked him yesterday, have you ever smoked pot? And he said, oh yeah, I've smoked a lot of it.
A lot of it. So yeah, he wouldn't say when, if it was what the timeline was, but yeah.
Kathleen Wynne, Premier Kathleen Wynne.
That's right.
Like, she has now come forward and said, you know, that she smoked marijuana, is calling for debate on legalization. Justin Trudeau, he's not only calling for a debate on legalization, he is calling for legalization in July. Just last month, we're going to roll a clip for you now. This is him out in BC, certainly playing to the crowd, saying that marijuana should be legalized in Canada.
I see my friend waving a sign about decriminalizing cannabis. I'll take that as a question. I'm actually not in favor of decriminalizing cannabis. I'm in favor of legalizing it, tax and regulate. It's one of the only ways to keep it out of the hands of our kids, because the current war on drugs, the current model is not working. We have to use evidence and science to make sure that we're moving forward on that. Okay, I've now started it. Let's take another couple of questions.
Now there you go. He says you can keep it out of the hands of kids. You tax it and regulate it, of course, and you know, you're going to make billions of dollars. Studies have said in tax revenue. Of course, we had a story last week. The Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police, who said a lot of resources. It's a very dubious use of resources going after you know, kids you know, who get caught with a joint. Instead, let's just give them a ticket, fine them, and be done with it. And our local police chief, Al Frederick, he's on board with that plan. Not legalization, not decriminalization, but just save the police some paperwork and let them ticket these people for having a joint. He's on board with that.
Yep.
People are having a lot of fun with this. The front page, we're going to show you now of the Toronto. This is the front page of the Toronto Sun. It shows Rob Ford, Kathleen Wynne, and Justin Trudeau. Passing the joint around.
Yep.
You know, studies have shown, right, that 44% of Canadians have tried marijuana. That's going to be my opinion poll question for today. Like, we've done it before. You know, should it be legalized? Should it be decriminalized? And overwhelmingly, people in Windsor say, of course it should. This is insane. But our question today is just going to cut to the nitty-gritty and just ask, have you ever smoked marijuana? We have no way of tracking you. We're not connected to the border.
Completely anonymous.
So don't worry, but just vote honestly. I suspect it's going to be a very, very high number. Studies have shown that Canadians have smoked more marijuana than any other country in the world, and that Canadian teens smoke more marijuana than teens in any other country.
Well, you're well informed.
Yeah.
Beatrice Fantoni, she's going to be looking around, talking to local politicians to ask them if they had CBC Windsor. They talked to Eddie Francis this morning, and he says that he's never smoked marijuana, mostly out of fear of his father.
Yeah, here's what he said. I've never wanted to feel the wrath. This is Eddie Francis. I've never wanted to feel the wrath or be able to explain or hear my father. Let's put it this way. I was always afraid of my dad, and I never wanted to feel his wrath, so I never smoked pot.
And you believe him. You were saying that there's two kinds of people, those who have done it and those who are lying about it. But in Francis's part, I
believe Eddie.
You believe Eddie.
I think, you know, Eddie had set his ambitions on office pretty early on in life, and he's done a great job, you know, all things considered. And so I believe him when he says he hasn't.
Yep.
Any other politicians tell me they haven't, I don't think I believe him.
Yeah, well, there you go.
You know, and just to put it into context, remember Washington and Colorado, they have voted in November for the full legalization of cannabis, and 16 U.S. states have passed decriminalization laws. So, you know, this is a burning issue.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we won't be here tomorrow. It's the long weekend, and you have a golf tournament.
I do. I'm playing in the club championship at Point West Golf, so I got to get my game in shape and be the ball.
Excellent.
Focus on that. So that's it. Vote in our poll. Have you smoked dope? Let us know. This has been WinStar Cafe.